Welcome back. This channel exists because of your support. Subscribe, hit like, and share your thoughts in the comments. Now let's get into the story. I pulled into the Chevrolet dealership's lot that Wednesday evening with 7 months of overtime weighing on my mind. The North Dallas location was quiet at 5:30, just a few salespeople wrapping up their day. Roger spotted me through the window and waved, that familiar grin spreading across his face. "Cameron Blake," he said, meeting me at the door. "Today's the day." "Today's the day," I confirmed. The 2024 Corvette Stingray sat in the showroom like a promise. Arctic white exterior, red leather interior, Z51 performance package. Every detail exactly as I'd specified 3 months ago when I first placed the order. Whitney's favorite color combination, though she didn't know it yet. Roger walked me through the paperwork one final time. Purchase price, trade-in value, financing terms I didn't need because I was paying cash. 7 months of 60-hour weeks, skipped lunches, and extra projects had built up a nice cushion in my savings account. The dealership's finance manager looked almost disappointed when I declined their loan offers. "Anniversary gift?" Roger asked as I signed the final documents. 7 years together next week, I said. Wanted to do something special. He handed me the keys. They felt heavier than they should have, weighted with anticipation and all those extra hours at the office. The car itself would stay at the dealership until Saturday for final detailing and delivery, but the keys were mine. Proof that I'd done it. She's a lucky woman. Want to take it home tonight? I looked at the Corvette, gleaming under the showroom lights. Actually, let's schedule delivery for Saturday morning. I want to surprise her with it then. You got it. I'll have it detailed and ready to go. I drove my regular Honda Accord home, the Corvette keys in my pocket like a promise waiting to be kept. Our apartment was in uptown Dallas, a nice 2-bedroom with a view of the skyline. I'd lived there for 2 years before Whitney moved in, and we'd been talking about buying a house. The Corvette was supposed to be the first step toward that future, a way of saying we were doing well and things were looking up. The apartment felt different when I walked in around 6:45. Too quiet. Usually Whitney would have music playing or be watching something on her laptop, but the living room was silent. I found her sitting on the couch, not in her usual corner, but in the center, hands folded in her lap, like she was waiting for a meeting to start. "Hey," I said, setting my work bag down. "How was your day?" She looked up at me, and I knew. You know that look, the one that says everything's about to change, and there's nothing you can do to stop it. Her eyes were red around the edges, like she'd been working up to this for hours. "I need to talk to you about something important," she said. I sat down in the armchair across from her, not next to her. Some instinct told me to keep the distance. "Okay, what's going on?" Whitney took a deep breath. "I've been thinking about this for weeks. About us, about where we are, about what I need." The keys in my pocket suddenly felt like a stone. "And Gavin reached out to me about 2 months ago." Gavin, her ex-fiancé from college. The guy she dated for 3 years before they broke up 8 years ago. She'd mentioned him maybe twice in the 7 years we'd been together, always in the context of ancient history. "Okay," I said carefully. "Why?" "His business failed. He lost everything. The divorce cleaned him out completely, and he's struggling. Really struggling." She leaned forward, her expression earnest. "He needs support right now? Real support. Someone who understands him. And you think that should be you." "I think I'm the only person who can help him get through this. He doesn't have anyone else, Cameron. His family won't talk to him. His friends have all moved on. He's at rock bottom." I felt remarkably calm considering what was happening. "Where does that leave us?" Whitney's voice wavered. "I need to step away from our marriage. Temporarily. Until he gets back on his feet." Temporarily. I know how it sounds, but it's not like that. He's not in a place for a relationship. He just needs help. And you. She gestured around the apartment. "You're successful. You have your career. You don't need me the way he does." I sat back and looked at her for a long moment. Really looked at her. The woman I'd been planning to surprise with a $70,000 car in 3 days. The woman who was telling me another man needed her more than I did. "How long has this been going on?" I asked. "The talking, I mean." He first reached out over 2 months ago. We started meeting for lunch occasionally, just catching up. Then more regularly over the past month or so. He told me about everything that happened to him, and I couldn't just ignore it. "Meeting for lunch." "Yes, as friends. To talk." "Have you been seeing him? Romantically?" "No, God, no. It's not like that at all. I'm trying to help someone who's in crisis. I reached into my pocket and felt the Corvette keys. Wrapped my fingers around them. Made a decision. If that's what you need to do, I won't stop you. Whitney blinked. What? You heard me. If you need to leave to help Gavin, go ahead. You're not even going to try to change my mind. I stood up. You've already made your decision. You're just asking for permission. I'm not going to beg you to stay in our marriage. Her face went pale. I thought you'd understand. I thought you'd be supportive of me helping someone who's going through a tough time. Supportive, I repeated. You want me to be supportive of you leaving me for your ex-fiancé? It's not like that. Then what is it like? Because from where I'm standing, it sounds like you're choosing him over me and you want my blessing to do it. Whitney stood up, defensive now. You're making this sound worse than it is. I'm trying to do the right thing for someone who needs help. The right thing would be to tell him to get a therapist and call his family. But you've already decided, so let's not pretend this is about me understanding. I pulled out my phone. Do you have somewhere to stay tonight? Tonight? Cameron, can't we talk about this more? What's there to talk about? You need to step away from our marriage to help another man. That's pretty clear. I kept my voice level. I'll pack your things tomorrow while you're at work. You can tell me when you want to pick them up. This feels too easy. Too cold. I looked at her directly. What did you expect? You're choosing another man over your husband. Did you think I'd fight for someone who doesn't want to be here? She grabbed her purse and her overnight bag from the closet. I'll be at Brooks for a few days. I'll figure out the rest later. Fine. At the door, she turned back. I really do care about you. I hope you know that. Sure, I said. Then she was gone. I stood in the quiet apartment for a few minutes, then pulled out my phone and texted Roger at the dealership. Change of plans. Won't be picking up the Corvette on Saturday. We'll be in touch. His response came immediately. Everything okay? Yeah, I typed. Just need to postpone. The Corvette keys sat on my coffee table for 3 days before I finally put them in my desk drawer. Roger called once to ask about rescheduling, and I told him to go ahead and sell it. The keys stayed in that drawer, though. A reminder of how completely I'd misread my own marriage. A reminder of the gift I'd almost given to someone who didn't want to stay. Thursday morning, I called in sick to work and packed Whitney's belongings. Not out of anger, just practicality. If she wanted to leave, she should have her things. I was methodical about it. Clothes in suitcases, toiletries in boxes, personal items wrapped carefully. While packing her desk drawer, I found a receipt from the Ocean Air Seafood Room in Uptown. Dated 3 weeks ago, lunch for two, $140 tab. I'd never been there with her. The restaurant was expensive, the kind of place you took someone when you were trying to impress them. I put the receipt in my pocket and kept packing. Around noon, my neighbor Louise knocked on the door. She was in her late 50s, a retired school administrator who knew everyone in the building and most of their business besides. I saw Whitney leaving with suitcases last night, she said without preamble. Everything okay? We're separating, I said simply. Her eyebrows rose. Well, that's sudden. Is it? Louise glanced down the hallway, checking for eavesdroppers. I didn't want to say anything before because it wasn't my place, but I've seen a man picking her up for lunch. Nice car, different one each time. Maybe 5 or 6 times over the past month. Different cars. Mercedes one time, BMW another. He was rotating through what looked like loaner vehicles from a dealership. Tall guy, dark hair, always dressed well. I filed that information away. Thanks for telling me. You're a good man, Cameron. You deserve better than sneaking around. She patted my arm. If you need anything, I'm in 3C. After she left, I called the attorney my colleague had recommended after his divorce 2 years ago. Frank Wellington's office was in downtown Dallas, and his secretary squeezed me in for Monday morning. Whitney called during my lunch break on Friday. I almost didn't answer, but curiosity got the better of me. How are you doing? She asked, her voice uncertain. Fine. Your things are packed. When do you want them? I thought we could talk about this more. Maybe meet for coffee. There's nothing to discuss. You made your choice. Cameron, I didn't think you'd just give up on us. I'm not giving up. I'm accepting. There's a difference. I kept my tone neutral. Let me know when you want your things. I'll make sure I'm here. She was quiet for a moment. You sound different. Do I? Colder. I'm just being practical. You wanted to step away from our marriage. I'm giving you space to do that. She hung up without saying goodbye. Saturday morning, I did something I hadn't done in months. I worked on my project car, a 1968 Mustang I'd been restoring in the building's garage. Whitney had always complained about the time I spent on it, said it was a waste of money and effort on a car that would never be worth what I was putting into it. So I'd stopped going down there, maybe twice in the past year. Now I changed the oil, adjusted the carburetor, cleaned the engine bay. Lost myself in the mechanical simplicity of it. The Mustang didn't care about my marriage or my feelings. It just needed work, and I could provide that. Sunday afternoon, I met my best friend Harry at Snooze AM Eatery in Oak Lawn. He was already nursing a coffee when I arrived, looking at me with the expression of someone who'd heard the news. Louise called Jenny, who called her cousin, who called my girlfriend. He said by way of greeting. The Uptown Gossip Network is efficient. Apparently, I ordered coffee and pancakes. So, Whitney left you for her ex. She left me to help her ex. There's a distinction, according to her. Harry snorted. Right. And I'm the Easter Bunny. How are you handling it? Honestly, I feel fine. Clear, actually. Like something I didn't even know was weighing on me just lifted. That tells you everything you need to know. He studied my face. You're not even angry. Should I be? Most people would be. I shrugged. She made a choice. It was a bad choice, but it was hers to make. I'm just not going to pretend it didn't happen or wait around for her to change her mind. About time you stood up for yourself. You've been walking on eggshells around her for years. That stung because it was true. Yeah, well, not anymore. Monday morning at 9 sharp, I sat in Frank Wellington's office. He was a no-nonsense guy in his early 50s, the kind of lawyer who cut through emotional drama and focused on facts. Standard separation case, he said after I explained the situation. No kids, you rent, finances mostly separate. Should be straightforward. She's staying with her ex-fiancé. Does that complicate things? Frank raised an eyebrow. Actually, it simplifies things. Makes her intentions pretty clear. We'll file for divorce based on abandonment. Texas law says if she's been gone more than a week with the intent not to return, that qualifies. Given that she's living with another man, I'd say the intent is clear. How long does it take? 60 days minimum from filing to finalization. Could be longer if she contests it, but based on what you've told me, I don't think she will. I signed the initial paperwork and left his office feeling lighter than I had in weeks. Tuesday at work, my supervisor Maria stopped by my desk. Cameron, you seem more focused lately. Whatever's going on in your personal life, your work is sharper. Just trying to stay productive. Well, keep it up. The Morrison account presentation you did yesterday was excellent. It was funny how much clearer my thinking became when I wasn't constantly managing relationship stress. For months I'd been trying to balance work deadlines with whatever mood Whitney was in when I got home. Now I could just focus on doing good work. The calls from Whitney increased during the second week. 3, sometimes 4 times a day. I ignored most of them. When I finally answered one on Thursday, she asked to meet for coffee. No point, I said. Cameron, please. We should talk about this in person. My attorney will contact you about the papers. Silence. Then, you already filed? It's only been 2 weeks. You left 2 weeks ago. Why wait? I didn't think you'd move so fast. Her voice had an edge of panic. I thought you'd give us more time. There is no us. You made sure of that. I hung up. Frank's office served her with divorce papers at the boutique, where she worked part-time on Wednesday of the 3rd week. The angry phone call came 20 minutes later. You had me served at work? Everyone saw. Where else would I send them? You don't live here anymore. I thought you'd have more respect than that. I almost laughed. Respect? That's interesting coming from you. What's that supposed to mean? It means I know you've been meeting Gavin for expensive lunches for over a month. The Oceanair? Really? $140 lunch while I was working overtime? She went quiet. I found the receipt. I continued. So let's not pretend this was sudden or that you were just trying to help a friend in need. It wasn't like that. It never is. Sign the papers, Whitney. Make this easy on both of us. That weekend, Jenny called. Whitney's younger sister and I had always gotten along well. She was a second-grade teacher, practical and honest in a way Whitney never quite managed. I need to tell you something, she said. Whitney made me promise not to, but I can't keep quiet about this. Go ahead. She loaned Gavin $15,000 from her personal savings account. I sat down. $15,000. He told her he needed it for legal fees from his divorce. Said his ex-wife's attorney was bleeding him dry and he needed money to settle. Whitney didn't even question it. just transferred the money. When, 2 weeks before she left you, she made me go to the bank with her. Jenny's voice was tight with frustration. I looked him up on LinkedIn, Cameron. He's still listed as CEO of his company. His business is struggling, but it's not dead. He's not bankrupt. He's exaggerating. Why are you telling me this? Because you deserve to know the truth. And because I think my sister made a huge mistake, and she's going to realize it when it's too late. After I hung up, I sat with that information for a while. $15,000. Gone, just like that, to a man who was playing her for sympathy. I called Frank and asked for a recommendation for a private investigator. He gave me Douglas Price's number without hesitation. What do you need to know? Douglas asked when I called. Gavin Chambers. I need to know if his financial situation is really as bad as he claims. Assets, income, recent transactions? All of it. $1,500 retainer. I'll have a preliminary report in a week. Do it. The fourth week brought a shift. I landed a major client analysis project at work, the kind of thing that usually went to the VP level. Maria called me into her office on Tuesday. This is impressive work, she said, tapping the report I'd submitted. VP level quality. I'm recommending you for a bonus. The bonus came through on Friday. $8,500. I deposited it and felt something close to satisfaction. While my marriage was falling apart, my career was taking off. That same week, I started going to the gym after work, something I hadn't done since Whitney and I got married. Started having drinks with colleagues on Thursday nights. Realized I couldn't remember the last time I'd done anything social without asking her permission first or dealing with her mood about it. The PI report arrived by email on Monday of the fifth week. I read it over coffee at my desk. Gavin Chambers, age 35, CEO of Chambers Development Group, a commercial real estate company. Revenue down 40% over the past 18 months, but still operational. Estimated annual income, $220,000. Assets. Owned condo in Addison valued at $450,000 with a $300,000 mortgage. Leased BMW 5 Series. Recent purchases included a Rolex watch, designer clothes, and regular meals at high-end restaurants. His divorce had been settled 8 months ago. 50-50 split of assets, no alimony either direction. He wasn't cleaned out. He was fine. The assessment at the end was clinical. Subject is exaggerating financial distress. Lifestyle indicates comfortable upper-middle-class income. No evidence of bankruptcy or severe financial hardship. I forwarded the report to Frank. His response came within an hour. Want to confront her with this? I typed back, no? Let her figure it out herself. Whitney's calls were shifting in tone now. Less defensive, more nostalgic. I miss our apartment, one voicemail said. Remember when we first moved in and we didn't have furniture for a week? Another, can we please just talk? I feel like we're throwing away 7 years. I didn't respond to any of them. Instead, I bought new furniture. Got rid of the shabby chic stuff Whitney had insisted on and replaced it with clean, modern pieces that actually fit my taste. Repainted the accent wall from beige to charcoal gray. The apartment started feeling like mine again. Louise stopped by to admire the changes. Place looks better. Feels like you now. That's the idea. For what it's worth, I see her sometimes. Around the neighborhood. She doesn't look good. I didn't ask for details. In the 6th week, Whitney showed up at my office building. The receptionist called up around lunchtime. There's someone here to see you. She says it's personal. I looked out my window and saw her in the lobby, pacing. Tell her I'm in a meeting. I watched from 5 floors up as she waited for 20 minutes, then finally left. She looked smaller somehow, thinner. I felt nothing about it. Harry and I had dinner that night at Meddlesome Moth, a gastropub in the Design District. You know she's going to come back eventually, he said over beer and burgers. Probably. What will you do? Same thing I'm doing now. Nothing. You've gotten cold about this. No, I said. I've gotten clear. There's a difference. I'm not angry at her. I'm just done with her. Those are two different things. The 7th week brought a phone call from Brooke, Whitney's best friend. I almost didn't answer, but curiosity got the better of me. I know this isn't my place, Brooke started, but Whitney's in trouble. Okay. She loaned Gavin more money. $8,000 this time, from a credit card cash advance. He promised to pay back both amounts within 30 days. That was 3 weeks ago. And he hasn't paid her back. He's not even returning her calls. And now she can't make the minimum payment on her credit card. She's panicking, Cameron. She's too embarrassed to ask anyone for help. She should be embarrassed. Don't you care at all? I care about a lot of things, Brooke. Whitney's financial decisions aren't on that list anymore. She's an adult. She made her choices. I hung up and blocked her number 2. That weekend, I changed the locks on the apartment. Legally, I was within my rights since she'd moved out and established residency elsewhere. I sent notification through Frank as required. Whitney's text came an hour after the locksmith left. Really? You changed the locks? My response, you don't live here. Why would you need keys? She didn't reply. Week 9 brought silence. No calls, no texts, nothing. I found out why through Louise, whose network was better than the FBI. She's at that weekly motel on Harry Hines Boulevard, Louise said. I saw her there last Thursday. She was carrying cleaning supplies. She's working there? Looks like it. Maid service, probably. Trading work for rent. I filed that information away and went back to my life. Work was going well. Maria assigned me 2 more high-profile projects. I was staying late because I wanted to finish things, not because I was avoiding going home. The difference was remarkable. Jenny called again in week 11. Her voice was tight with controlled anger. Gavin left. Disappeared. Packed up and left town 4 days ago. Where'd he go? No idea. He blocked Whitney's number, changed his phone, just vanished. He took her money and ran. $23,000. You knew? I had him investigated. Found out he was lying about being bankrupt a month ago. Jenny was quiet for a moment. Why didn't you tell her? Would she have believed me? She needed to figure it out herself. She's in bad shape, Cameron. She lost her apartment. Can't pay rent. She's working at that motel on Harry Hines and waiting tables at Houston's on Lemon. Working 2 jobs just to afford the weekly rate and food. I'm sorry to hear that. Are you? You sound like you don't care at all. I care. I just don't carry responsibility for her choices anymore. She's capable of figuring this out. Mom and I told her we can't help her. Dad won't even talk to her. She burned every bridge she had. That happens when you make the choices she made. Jenny hung up, and I felt a small pang of guilt. But only small. Whitney had chosen this path. The consequences were hers to manage. Week 12 brought my promotion. Assistant Vice President of Analytics. $20,000 salary increase. Bigger office. Actual windows with a view. Maria shook my hand. You've earned this. Your focus has been exceptional since spring. We celebrated with the team at a steakhouse downtown. I got home around 10, pleasantly tired, and realized I was genuinely happy. Not happy that Whitney was suffering, but happy with my own life. The distinction mattered. The divorce was finalized in week 13. Whitney didn't show up to the court date, which made it a formality. The judge reviewed the paperwork, noted the abandonment and lack of contest, and granted the decree. Irreconcilable differences and abandonment, he said, signing the papers. Divorce granted. Frank walked me out. Smoothest divorce I've handled in years. She didn't fight a single thing. She knew she didn't have grounds. Still, most people try. I was legally single. The finality of it felt good, like closing a book I should have put down months ago. That weekend, I made a decision. Called the Chevrolet dealership and asked for Roger. Cameron Blake, he said warmly. Haven't heard from you in a while. Still interested in that Corvette? Is it still available? The white one sold about a month ago, but I've got a 2024 Stingray in rapid blue. Same specs, Z51 package, just a different color. Beautiful car. I'll take it. Seriously? Seriously. What's my trade-in worth? We negotiated for 20 minutes. I drove my Honda to the dealership on Saturday morning and left in a rapid blue Corvette Stingray with red leather interior. The same car I'd planned to give Whitney, just in a color I actually preferred. I parked it in my assigned spot and stood there for a few minutes, just looking at it. The keys felt different now. Not weighted with anticipation, just solid and real. Mine. When I got upstairs, I pulled open my desk drawer and looked at the old keys, the ones from the Arctic white Corvette I'd never taken delivery of. I picked them up and carried both sets to the entry table by the door. Old keys and new keys, side by side. A reminder of what I'd almost given away and what I'd claimed for myself. From my apartment window, I could see it in the parking lot. A Corvette bought for myself, with money I'd earned, at a time I'd chosen. It felt like closing one chapter and opening another. The next few weeks settled into a comfortable rhythm. I took the Corvette out on weekends, drove out to hill country west of Dallas, Enjoyed the open road with the top down. Started dating someone I'd met at the gym, nothing serious, just coffee and easy conversation. Went to Houston to see the Space Center, San Antonio for the River Walk. Did things I'd wanted to do for years, but never had time for because Whitney didn't want to go. Harry noticed the change. You're like a different person. Better version. I'm just myself again. That's what I mean. Through Louise's network and the occasional update from Jenny, I heard about Whitney's continued decline. Living with Gavin had collapsed when he disappeared. She'd lost both jobs due to exhaustion and inability to keep up with the schedules. Car repossessed when she couldn't make payments. Sleeping on friends' couches when she could, in her car when she couldn't. Tried to contact her parents again. They refused. I felt bad for her in an abstract way, the way you feel bad for anyone suffering. But I didn't feel responsible. She'd made her choices, and I'd made mine. We were both living with the consequences. Then, on a Wednesday night in late July, 17 weeks after she'd walked out of our apartment, my doorbell rang at 10:15. I was in comfortable clothes, watching the Rangers game, enjoying a quiet evening. I checked the peephole and saw not just Whitney, but an entire group. Her mother Claire, her sister Jenny, her friend Brooke, and a man in a suit I didn't recognize. Whitney was in front, looking worse than I'd imagined. Easily 15 pounds lighter, dark circles under her eyes, wearing clothes that had seen better days. I opened the door, but didn't step aside. Please, Whitney said immediately, her voice shaking. Just give me 5 minutes to explain. Explain what? You left 4 months ago. The divorce is final. I know, but I made a mistake. A terrible mistake. Her mother stepped forward. Cameron, she's learned her lesson. She's been through enough. Can't you show some compassion? Has she learned a lesson? I asked, looking at each of them. What lesson exactly? That she threw away a good marriage, Claire said. That she trusted the wrong person. Those are consequences, not lessons. The man in the suit cleared his throat. I'm Gregory Walsh. I'm a mediator and family counselor. I'm here to facilitate a conversation about possible reconciliation. We're divorced. There's nothing to reconcile. Legal status doesn't prevent rebuilding, Gregory said smoothly. People remarry their exes all the time. I'm not interested in being a statistic. Jenny spoke up. Cameron, I know this looks bad. It is bad, but she genuinely has nowhere else to go. She's been living in her car. I'm aware. Jenny looked surprised. You knew? I know a lot of things. I looked at Whitney directly, including that Gavin was never actually broke. His business was struggling, but he wasn't bankrupt. He had assets, income, a comfortable life. He exaggerated his situation to get sympathy and money. Whitney's face went pale. You knew? I had him investigated about 3 months ago. Found out he'd been lying to you about everything. Why didn't you tell me? Would you have believed me? She had no answer for that. Brooke stepped forward. People make mistakes. She's paid for this one. She's experiencing consequences. That's not the same as payment. Don't you have any compassion? I have plenty, just not for someone who showed me none when it mattered. I reached behind me and picked up both sets of Corvette keys from the table by the door. They all watched the movement. For months ago, I said, holding up the keys in my left hand, I had a surprise for you. A 2024 Corvette Stingray. Arctic white with red leather interior. Your favorite color combination. Whitney's eyes widened. I'd been saving for 7 months. Every overtime hour, every bonus check. I was going to give it to you on our anniversary. I paused. Instead, you came home that night and told me another man needed you more than I did. Her hand went to her mouth. So I kept the keys, canceled the delivery, sat with them for weeks, trying to figure out what I'd missed. I held up the keys in my right hand. Then I got divorced, got promoted, and bought myself a Corvette. Different color. Same model. Same specs. It's parked downstairs in my spot right now. Cameron, Whitney whispered. I had a choice that night. I could have chased after you, begged you to stay, made it about me. Instead, I let you go. I let you make your choice. I met her eyes, and I made mine. I know I hurt you, she said, tears streaming down her face now. I know I don't deserve forgiveness, but I'm asking anyway. I'm asking for another chance. A chance to do what? Live in my apartment? Use my money? Pretend the last 4 months didn't happen? A chance to prove I've learned from this. You haven't learned anything, Whitney. You're just out of options. Gregory tried again. What would it cost you to show some mercy? My self-respect. And I'm not willing to pay that price. Claire spoke up, her voice breaking. She's my daughter. I can't watch her live in her car. Then don't watch. But don't ask me to fix what she broke. You used to love her. I did. Past tense. She made sure of that. Jenny looked at me steadily. For what it's worth, I think you're right. I told her this wouldn't work, that you'd moved on. You're a good sister for trying, I said to Jenny. But she needs to figure this out herself. Whitney reached for my hand. I stepped back. Please, she said. I have nothing left. You had everything. You chose to walk away from it. That was your decision. I looked at her for a long moment. These are your consequences. So that's it. You're just going to let me destroy myself? You already did that. I'm just not going to pretend I can fix it. I stepped back into my apartment. Don't come back here. Don't call. Don't reach out. Move on with your life. I already have. I closed the door while they were still standing there. Locked it. Watched through the peephole as they stood in confused silence for nearly a minute. Then slowly, one by one, they turned and walked away. I went back to my living room. Picked up my beer. The Rangers were up by 3 in the 8th inning. I settled back into the couch and watched the rest of the game. The next morning, I woke at 7:30, made coffee, and stood on my balcony overlooking uptown. The Corvette was visible in the parking lot below, gleaming in the morning sun. No missed calls. No messages. Just silence. I met Harry at the Rustic at 10 for breakfast. He was already at a table when I arrived, and I told him about the previous night. How do you feel? He asked. Good. Clear. Like I closed a door that should have been closed months ago. Any regrets? None. She made her choice. I just didn't let her unmake it. Harry studied me for a moment. You could have helped her. Just a little. I could have. But that wouldn't have helped her. It would have enabled her. I sipped my coffee. She needs to understand that actions have consequences, and that the people she hurts don't owe her a safety net. Fair enough. Friday afternoon at the office, Maria stopped by my desk. You seem lighter today. I am. Closed a chapter last night. She didn't pry, just nodded approvingly and moved on. Saturday afternoon, I took the Corvette out for a real drive. West toward Hill Country, top down, sun warm on my face. I passed the Chevrolet dealership where this had all started and kept going, out onto the open highway. An hour later, I pulled over at a scenic overlook. The Texas landscape stretched out forever, all rolling hills and blue sky. I got out and looked at the new keys in my hand, the ones for the car I actually owned. They didn't feel heavy anymore. Just right. Like freedom. Like the choice I should have made all along. I got back in the car and drove toward the horizon. Some gifts are better kept for yourself. Some doors are better left closed. And some people need to find their own way out of the mess they created. I wasn't going to be Whitney's way out. I was too busy being my own way forward. Dear listeners, that's our ending. If it resonated, subscribe to support the channel. See you next time.